Hello, welcome to number 12 of the On the Knuckle podcast. I'm Gaz Vestman-Vogan, joined by Mr. Adam Begg. As always, Beggsy, how's it going?
It's going good. We are currently here in Larks, mid Larks Open. Got to ride a little bit today, but came off one of the best halfpipe trainings that's probably ever gone down. Probably a good time to talk about Aspen halfpipe.
Yeah, it's
Wrap it
been a day today, which has been sick. Bluebird weather here in Larks, best contest of the season, arguably. I think the way they put on the production is amazing, and it's always one that everyone turns out for, which is what we saw in the pipe training, of course. Before we get into it, the big question that obviously everyone is wondering after a week in Aspen, how was the spa?
It was good. I thought you were going to go Olympic hype meter, but the spa was good. Yeah, they've just renovated the pool there. It's outdoor. It's 40 degrees. We had a heated pool and spent most nights in there, I think.
It was rather luxurious.
Yeah.
But seeing as you mentioned it, Olympic excitometer, where are we at?
I think coming off Aspen, I was about an 8 or a 9. Up there, I was confident. It felt like we're in a good place leading into Milano, I think. How about you? Excitometer, not personal
levels of depression. Probably about an 8 as well, because Aspen, of course, we're here to talk about the halfpipe, but we had our first slope style of the season, which always makes me excited because that's my favorite discipline. I think we had 2 very good comps in Aspen, and I think I'm probably about an 8. One of the things I was thinking is that this is the first time it's really felt like a tour, which is awesome in one aspect because we've done, well, this is week 8 on the road, so we've had back-to-back World Cups, which is amazing because it really feels like this is the World Cup tour rather than it being the usual 2 weeks here, 2 weeks there, etc. Downside is it is 8 weeks on the road, and that's a long time away from home. But we'll leave that for not the Olympic excitometer and more for the old personal meter. But yeah, should we get into it?
Yeah, let's.
Sweet. All right, so obviously it's a halfpipe World Cup in Aspen. It was number 4 of the season after Secret Garden, Copper, Calgary. Talk to me about the pipe.
Like Copper and Calgary, it was very late to get going. They were the weeks leading into it. We were wondering if we were going to be relocated to Copper or if they're even going to have a pipe. But they were battling to get it up and going. Warm temps and a late start to winter in the region, I guess, was a struggle for everyone, but they managed to get it up. It was a battle, but they managed to get the pipe up and going. Unfortunately for the riders, they battle with those quirky early season conditions that come with the first few cuts of the pipe. It was actually the first cut that they opened on. It was quite a small, open-looking pipe, again, compared to China and the big ones, but it was like a smaller one. It looked quite wide compared to other ones. I think we all commented when we got there. It looked like there was a lot of flat for a first cut, which as they open up more and more, gets wider and wider. So, yeah.
And it was quite interesting to go from Calgary, where the right-hand wall was very vert to the point of being oververt. Well, it wasn't oververt, but, it was more vertical on the right-hand wall. And then this one, first cut, was definitely a bit more open on that right-hand side wall.
Totally. It needed dish. I think after the first cut, they tried to get a bit more dish in it. They stood the right-hand wall up a little bit. Like in Copper, it rode better with every cut, each day of training into qualies. And by qualies and finals, it was actually pretty perfect. So it was the best one they've had in the last couple of years there. And all the riders, talking to some of the riders, they were sort of saying that it was so strange to go from 2 days of undervert in training to just a perfect pipe for qualies and finals. So it bears well for them for X Games and their upcoming comps.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously, that was the pre-event for the X Games. Getting into women's qualification, first one out of finals was Kinsley White from the USA.
Yep. And it was pretty close, this one. It wasn't unanimous. She had, I guess, what was probably more technical run than Emily Haskell, who was just in. And Kinsley had a backside double tail grab into a front 7 Indy, cab 7. From the angle that the judges had, it looked like she just missed the grab on the cab 7, into a front 5 melon, back 5 stale, and finishing with a backside alley-oop mute.
Yeah, so it was kind of decent with that 7-7 combo to kind of not start the run, but into that top part of the run. decent amplitude and nice variety, at least including the alley-oop. But the kind of the sticking point for me was that execution in terms of short grabs on both of the sevens, and then a little bit of an issue on the front seven. Kind of a little bit twisty. Didn't really follow that kind of traditional seven axis. Looked like she really had to fight to get that rotation wrap.
Yeah, and I think amplitude was probably the other telling factor. So she had good amplitude on her first hit, and then it really dropped away after that. When you compare with Amelie, she had a backside air into front five Indy, back five mute, front seven truck, cab five mute into a pop tart. She was slightly under rotated on the front seven, but she had better amp than Kinsley.
Yeah, and it was that consistent amp all the way through. As you say, Kinsley had that really nice first hit amplitude, but then dropping away just shows about that kind of that pipe riding from hit to hit. Amelie was didn't have the same first hit kind of height. I was still +3 on the gasometer, but the rest of the run followed that height really nice and consistently. And then the cab five in there, like she didn't have the 7-7 combo, but the cab five into the pop tart is a little bit more of a, let's say, kind of uniquer way of including that kind of trick. We don't see a lot of cab rotations switch to switch in either men's or the women's. It is that little bit blind coming through the last part, a little bit awkward. So something to reward kind of that cab five as a bit of progressive as well.
Yeah, I think she got the tick in that cab five. Like you say, it's switch to switch. It's very blind. Yeah, I think Kinsley had the good combo with the 7-7-5-5, so she probably took it on progression. Variety was kind of similar. Difficulty kind of cancels out, but then execution goes to Amelie, and Amelie won amp. I think they're both fairly similar on their first. Dropped away a bit on their second, but Kinsley was quite a bit lower on that amp for the rest of the way down. Like they both sort of had that big first hit, but then one was slightly higher than the other all the way down. So
yeah, and I think that's why I ended up quite tight on the bubble.
Yeah.
Because they were very similar runs, but kind of separating it, like we're very much splitting hairs as to determine who was ranked in and who was ranked out, as it were. And then I guess the other one, the second one out, Felicity Jeremiah from Canada, coming off the back of a World Cup final appearance in Calgary, which is really cool, had the pop tart into a back five mute, front seven truck, switch frontside air, and the switch back five mute. So had all the directions, kind of ticked all them off. The switch frontside one was just the switch frontside air, but that was where the amplitude kind of out of that frontside seven had a bit of an edge, lost all the amplitude, and that switch frontside air and the switch back five were just at the lip. So
yeah,
kind of had that variety criteria above Kinsley and Amelie, but the other criteria just didn't really go in her favor. So she was second one out of finals.
Yeah.
And that was kind of the main talking points from women's qualifications. But let's get into finals. Let's go.
It was cold. It was -9 out there.
Cold would be nice. It was absolutely Baltic.
Yeah, and it made it worse. It had been 20 centimeters overnight, which kept us busy in the morning. It was good quality snow. So it was cold on your face. There was a few face shots, and we rode till basically just before finals. I think we had a 12 o'clock start, and we were in the booth at 11:45. Like it was good out there.
It was sick. It was an 11:40 finish to quickly try grab lunch and make it across to the booth.
First proper power day of the season.
Yeah, 100%. It was sick. I was tempted to have a lie-in personally, and then Andrin, my roommate, told me it would be good to just get out and about and get some fresh air, sort of thing, to improve the mentality. And boy, oh boy, was that good for mental health. If you ever need to go ride power, it really does help. It was sick. It was best morning of snowboarding, best day of snowboarding I've had all season long. So that was sick. That definitely got us in a very positive headspace for finals. And finals started to go off.
Yeah, I've always said if I ride, then I sit down and I often judge better because I've got some snowboarding in. That's what it's all about.
And that has been the approach. Like even when we're starting at 8:30 in the morning, we'll always try to get at least one or two groomers. It's a great way to wake up and just get you in the mood.
Totally. Cool. So I think it was a close finals, and last event's winner, Elizabeth Hoskins, ended up in 7th place. If that says anything about the standard of the way the girls were riding there.
Yeah. And like Elizabeth rode as well as she did in Calgary, just the level just kind of stepped up a little bit further for this one.
Totally. There was 3 scores in the good range, around 70, another 3 in the excellent, in the 80s and 90s. So the scores were good and the riding was good.
Yeah, and it got pretty close at the top. 4th place, just off the podium, Rise Kudo from Japan. Started off air to fakie with the melon, into cab 7 mute, front 9 melon, back 9 mute, and front 7 truck. Good amplitude was one of my first notes. I had a +4 on the gas scale, and had the difficulty with that 9-9 combo, front 9 into back 9. Not a combo we see a whole lot. It's coming in more and more as we kind of start to see the progression go through the roof. The key kind of sticking points that kept her off the podium was short grab on the backside 9. Had it as practically missed. Was very touch grab sort of thing.
I think we went to the replay on that one just to see whether she'd actually got it. I think the interesting thing about this one, like you said, it had good 9-9 combo. It was a great run. That was actually the top qualifying run. So she was up there, but just a few little executional instabilities.
Yeah, and like looking at those kind of short grabs, if you have to go through the replay and kind of catch it on a couple frames, cameras shoot at 24 frames per second or 30 frames per second. So it does show the longevity of the grab wasn't there if it's only there for a fraction part of the spin.
Totally. Just above her in third place was Sina Tomita. Front 10 tail, cab 7 mute, front 9 melon, back 5 mute, into front 7 Indy, so good combination.
Yeah, starting off huge with the front 10, so good step up in difficulty. Didn't quite have the same 9-9 combos we saw from Blise, but really good level of difficulty with the front 10. The only thing keeping her above the top 2 was the short grab on the front 9. Was a bit not quite as touchy, but definitely on the short. And my grab scale goes kind of touch, short, average, good. So that kind of gives you a bit of perspective as to when we say short grab, what that actually comes out as.
Yeah, I'll often steno touch or steno how much of a rotation was done. So if it's a 10 and they grab for 360, it either goes a touch or they grab 3 or grab 5 or grab 7. So I try and do it that way.
Really have to break it down quite significantly. And then very much average amp all the way through. So not good amp, not bad amp, just very much kind of stock what you kind of expect from that sort of run.
Yeah, good podium run.
Yeah, good podium run, got her in place, which is nice. Just above her, which her first podium of the season, we had Maddie Shafrick from the USA, took her first career podium last year in Secret Garden. And one of the ones we've spoken about in the previous episodes when we looked at the recap for last season, but one of those athletes that really takes the variety criteria and runs mad with it.
Yeah, totally. Like this run kind of had everything. Had back-to-back 5. She went back 5 mute into front 5 melon, and alley-oop front 3 nose, switch back 5 mute, harken flip into an alley-oop backside 5 mute. So she had sort of 4 different 5s, a harken in there. There's good execution, excellent variety. She had all 4 of the primary directions plus 2 of the alley-oop directions, which is probably about as much variety as you can put into a pipe run.
Yeah, considering the length of the pipe, that's pretty much, she is maxed out the variety.
6 hits, 6 different directions. It was a run that had all the variety you could ask for.
Yeah, and even tries to mix in some of the grabs between the mute, melon, nose, etc., etc. Amplitude with this kind of run, because there's 6 hits, amplitude is never going to be that celebrated or rewarded criteria, because it does have to be a little bit lower with the alley-oops kind of killing the speed mid-run. But adding in the fact that there is the 5 directions, there is the technicality of an alley-oop mid-run, that was kind of what kept her up, really. Variety, technicality, execution. All grabs were locked all the way through. There was no issues from one side of the pipe to the other. She kind of shone in variety, difficulty, and execution.
Yeah, and that one got her up into the excellent range. It was like an 82.5 or something like that. Like it's into those excellent scores, and I think she's lucky in that the alley-oops kind of give her a little bit more pipe to work with, unlike some people that when they alley-oop drift down the pipe as they do it, she kind of goes up and either stops or goes up the pipe, which kind of allows for that extra hit and get 6 hits in there.
So yeah, it's a very well-deserved second place for Maddie Shafrick, which is great to see. She's not here in Larks this week, so the next time we'll see her will be in Livigno.
Yeah.
If she made the team. We don't really know. They haven't announced that part of the team as far as I'm aware. So yeah. Anyway, on to our winner from Japan, Mitsuki Ono.
Yeah, she had front 9 tail, back 5 mute, front 7 truck, cab 9 stale into switchback 5 mute.
So like ticked all the variety boxes, had the amplitude, has that cab 9, which we are kind of talking about earlier on about with the cab 5. But taking it one step further, cab 9 to switchback 5 is quite a neat combo to end the run.
Yeah, great combo. She had, like you said, all 4 primary directions, clean grabs, execution was there. She won quite convincingly on that one. She was that was quite a way in front of everyone with a run like that.
Yeah, and it had the difficulty still there with the front 9 to start with, so not quite as high difficulty as Cena to meet his front 10, but obviously backed it up with the rest of the run, and it is overall impression top to bottom.
Totally, and finished with the combo. So there was definitely nothing in fault as far as our criteria goes. It was a well-deserving win and a good one to get up into the 90s.
Yeah, good, convincing, nice confidence boost, because I know she missed out in Secret Garden, so nice to kind of see her back on the top of the podium here this week out. That was the women's comp kind of wrapped up. We had, from memory, no conversations or comments or questions afterwards. I think that was pretty clear cut through. Everyone agreed with the judges, which is always nice.
Yeah, we like that.
That's always helpful. makes us feel like we did a good day in the office. But into men. So we'd come off Calgary where we had just the 36 men partaking in just one heat. This time we had practically double that. So we went into 2 heats of men. Starting in heat 1, the first one out was actually Chase Blackwell from the USA. Had back 7 Indy, switch back 7 Japan, back 9 mute, front double 10 truck, cab double 10 mute.
Yeah, so with that one, he was really just lacking the rotational trick difficulty to those above him. He had all 4 primary directions. Execution was there. Amp was pretty there, but you've got 2 7s to start off the run. So he sort of had 7, 7, 9, 10, 10 versus Levko, who was above him with 9, 10, 12, 9.
Yeah.
So, Levko ended up, he started with that cab 9 style, which we spoke about in the women, switch to switch, into a switchback 9 nose, into a cab 10 mute, front double 12 Indy, into back 9 style.
Like both runs had all 4 directions. So that's kind of like variety kind of ticked off the list nicely. But I think Levko had a much more progressive start to the run. We've talked about a bit with like the back 7s or back 3s and back 10s, how they're very much blind on kind of re-entry sort of thing. So it is in one way kind of cool for Chase to start the run back 7 and to switch back 7 because it kind of doubles down on that thing. But with those low rotational tricks, the amplitude really has to be exceptional for it to be fully rewarded sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think he had the amplitude on that. I just think Levko had like slightly higher trick difficulty. I think you go back to that cancel out. They both had progression. They both had variety. They both had execution. It just came down to difficulty on that one. And it's like you're looking 7, 7, 9, 10, 10 versus 9, 10, 10, 12, 9.
Exactly. There we go. Nicely broken down. Other one just outside of qualies, second one out sort of thing was Cade Martin. Switchback 9 mute, cab double 10, front double 12, back 9 mute, front double 10 Indy. So had the same kind of number combination that we saw from Levko, but that was one where the amplitude was certainly lower and was short on grabs on the front double 12 and the back 9 as well. So kind of 2 executional errors, lower on the amplitude, and that was, again, pretty clear-cut sort of thing.
Yeah.
Sweet. Into heat number 2. So in heat 2, first one out was bronze medalist at the last Olympics, Jan Scherer. Had cab double 10, front 9 melon, back 9 double shifty, which we've spoken about a bunch of podcasts, front double 12 Indy, and then alley front 9 nose at the end, which was a pretty decent run.
Yeah, it was a good run, score in the 70s. Not a lot really wrong with it. I think it was one of those ones where there was just better runs in on the day. His cab dub, which is a good one, that dipped down the pipe, which I've spoken about before. Back double 9 shifty, which we spoke about in the last episode, I think, or one of the previous episodes. But that back double shifty with 9 shifty, which is a unique one and a difficult one, into the front double 12 Indy, finishing with his signature alley-oop frontside nose.
Yeah, and that alley-oop is sick. Taking off the heels, the amplitude he got where it just seems to kind of hang there, grabs the nose of the board for the majority of the rotation plus a little bit extra, is really cool to see.
That was probably one of the best ones he's ever done too. That trick's, like you say, it's a good one, but that's as good as you can do it. It was super well executed and probably the best one he's ever done.
Yeah, and I think it's nice that he's keeping the double shifty in there because we've seen him go back to the back 9 mute before, but actually keeping that double shifty is a very kind of staple part of Jan's run. We've seen lots of halfpipe riders have their kind of signature trick in there. So the fact that Jan gets 2 in there is progressive and it's very cool.
Yeah. Like I said before, on paper, it has everything to make finals. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just beaten by better runs with bigger amplitude and I guess he was missing his switch heel side takeoff if you had to nitpick at it, but like it was a good run.
Yeah, and it is that 3.5 directions compared to 4 directions, which Ryan Wackendorfer, last one in, had was switchback 9 nose, cab double 10 drunk driver, front double 12 mute, back double chuck, and then front double 10 stale. So has the 4 directions, has that mix of variety of axis as well with the double chuck in there as well. And yeah, just kind of came down to your variety, amplitude, etc. Just kind of bumped Jan out, sort of thing. There was nothing, yeah, as you say, nothing wrong with Jan's run. It was just beaten by something slightly better.
Yeah, and second out was Lucas Foster. Had a 70. He was missing his heel side takeoff and probably a little bit of grab variety. Tail grabs on the front dub 12, back 9, and front 10. And he was also lacking a little bit of amplitude on his backside 9.
Yeah, the amplitude came right at the end of the run because he had the alley-oop backside double McTwist, which has kind of been his trick for the past season.
Yeah,
and
death-defying.
Death-defying, insane trick for sure. Like, I don't think anyone wants to try that trick. And it's done almost picture perfect every single try.
Every time, yeah.
Which is sick. But yeah, the first 3 hits, all having the tail grab and lacking that amplitude, just doesn't quite balance out the jump that the alley-oop double twist has.
Totally.
Sweet. Cool. So into finals, obviously ran on the same day as women's, so the weather was still Baltically cold, and we had a great day of snowboarding in the morning. But yeah, any standouts before we get into our top few athletes?
Definitely. The standouts would have been the fact that there was 3 triples thrown in that. We haven't really seen too many triples in America Calgary leading into that, so it's been a little bit of time off and a good pipe. Suddenly they're throwing tricks again. So Alessandro, Cam, and Jake Pates all went triple in the finals.
And the cool thing with Jake Pates is he learned that over the Christmas period in the Copper Pipe after the Copper World Cup. So this is a brand new trick for him. I kind of class those like the Instagram triples where you're never entirely sure how many attempts have gone into that and whether you could put it down on the day. But Jake Pates proved that he could put it down on the day, in the moment when he needs to.
His trajectory at the moment is really impressive. I think we're speaking about it before this, just how much he's on the come up at the moment. Like it's a comeback, all right.
Yeah, for sure. And spoiler alert, he landed a triple today in Locke's Open Halfpipe training. So clearly that trick is not foreign to him. He's got that, looks like pretty well on lock.
Yeah. And then my other notable for that would have to be Cam Melvillais. He was so unlucky not to put down his run. It was an exciting one and an absolute heater of a run when I saw that massive switch ollie into the pipe and the speed that he went in with.
Yeah,
I knew we were going to be in for a treat.
He came in with a ton of energy.
Yeah, you could see it. It was in his body language. It was energy, and he popped and just switch ollied and just picked up the top of the tranny and just straight into the biggest cab triple 14 drunk. Both the cab triples he did that day, like the second one, I think is probably up there with one of the most perfect cab triples ever done. Like his board landed dead straight.
Yeah.
He's run
the toe edge.
On the toe edge, like just full speed into alley-oop backside double rody 9 melon.
Yeah.
Into a back double 12 mute, front double 10 truck, into switchback alley-oop rodeo nose grab.
Which hell of a run when you put it together. Hell of a run on paper. The way I executed it was almost amazing. Just slipped out on the heels on that switchback alley-oop dub, which is something, it's been a kind of a common mistake of Cam's. Happened the same way in Secret Garden.
Yeah.
Which kind of just showcases the difficulty of that trick, putting it at the end of the run, coming down as he does, sort of thing. What I find really interesting is it's a very much almost identical run to what we saw in Secret Garden, but in Secret Garden went cab double 10 and then did front trip later on down the pipe. So this kind of leads you to believe that his run for the Olympics in Livigno, if all goes to plan and everything's picture perfect on the day, could be cab triple 14, alley backside double rodeo, back double 12, front trip 14 into that switchback double.
Yeah, because that was a single there, and we've seen a double go down today. So
yeah,
that run already builds excitement all the way down, but had some missing puzzle pieces there, and it's an absolute eater, like we said.
Yeah, I think it would be the first time we've seen 2 triples in a run and 2 alley-oop double rodeos in a run. Well, there's no thinking about it. It is the first time. So that would be sick to see. Sadly, there wasn't the run he put down in Aspen, and unfortunately couldn't hold on to that, the switchback alley rodeo.
So that was definitely a standout. guess we'll start at fifth with this one because Ruka had an amazing Ruka Rano from Japan, amazing run on paper, probably one of the better combos. It just lacked amplitude, which sometimes happens to him when the pipe isn't perfect. He doesn't seem to like the American pipes. He
looks well in China and Larks. I had one of the most progressive runs in China in Secret Garden, but yeah, Copper Aspen just didn't quite go his way, and it was a noticeable drop in amplitude to what we've seen from Ruka in the past. And we can't really figure out why, to be honest.
No, he started with his signature back double 10 Japan with the one where he sort of pulls it and pauses in the middle. He sort of does that trick two different ways. Sometimes he pauses it, sometimes he does it as one. Back 12 mute into back-to-back 14s and finishing with the front drum 12 indie. So the run was good. It just lacked some out.
Yeah, like has the variety, has the difficulty, has the 14-14 combo. Execution with Ruka is pretty good every single time. Grabs are there. There's no questionable grabs. It's always pretty locked and loaded. Just was at a +3 or +4 on the gas scale, which our kind of top riders were exceeding.
Totally.
I'm going to definitely trademark this gas scale sort of thing.
I think we start training it. I think it's a good way to teach judges different amplitudes.
Yeah, until they ask you for specifics of how much a +2 is. But yeah.
So in fourth place, we had our top qualifier, Valentino Giselli. After winning Calgary in a top pace qualifying run, he just was unlucky to miss out on the podium.
Yeah, and again, this is kind of similar to what we said with Jan Shearer in qualies and into final sort of thing, being outside that bubble. Val had a great run, was just beaten by, there was nothing wrong with it whatsoever. That's why he's still up in fourth. It was just beaten by 3 better runs on the day.
Yeah, and he started off, like his amplitude was bigger than in qualies. It was one of the bigger runs of the day from that angle, and he had started off with a huge backside alley 3, landed super blind into a big cab double 10 mute, front 12 tail, back dub 10 indie into switch back double 1080. So he had better amp, like good amp, good execution, lacking the switch back 12 and the switch front side invert, which he did in qualies, and which was a new combo for him. And I think the execution and the amplitude of that with those 2 hits at the end, probably the result might have been different. But yeah.
Yeah, like I think for me, like that, the alley-oop back 3 nose was huge. That was, and the advantage of it being so huge gives him so much time, and he can see the full twang on the nose of the board.
Yeah.
It's a very cool combo top to bottom. Really like that he took the theory from Calgary of the variety being the key focus of having back 7, switch back 12 or switch back 9 in Calgary to go into back double 10 here and then into the switch back double 10. So really going all in on the variety, still has the Val level of amplitude. And the back double 10 indie was really nice. It's really blind coming over that last dump with that grab. We've seen Scotty do the back double 10 stale for a couple of seasons now.
Yeah, good combo. Like we said, nothing wrong with it. Obviously, if you'd done the tricks in qualies, it may have been a different result. We're not judging against the qualies run. That run got judged on its own and it sat where it should sit. It's just us knowing what we'd seen earlier, that we know the result probably could have changed.
Yeah, and I think it just had 3 very good pipe runs to compete with at the top that were on our podium.
Which is very true. So in third place, Alessandro Barbieri from the USA.
Yeah, so I had switchback double 12 mute, cab triple 14 mute, front double 12 indie, back double 12 mute, and front double 10 truck. So really nice that he turned the cab double in run 1 into a cab triple.
Yeah.
Grease the landed on that.
Yeah, switchback 12 into a cab trip 14. It's an amazing combo. It's the first time it's ever been done.
Yeah, we spoke about in our kind of half-pipe recap episode the fact that not many, like we have more riders doing triples than switchback 12s.
Yeah.
So, but they are still probably the top 2 tricks in half-pipe as it currently stands at the time of recording. So yeah, so combo of those is pretty legit.
Totally. And to put them back to back, yeah, good run. It's 12-12 combo. I think probably the only weak point was the front double 10 melon. But again, nothing wrong in this one. It was a great run with a MBD combo and sat good in third place.
Yeah, I would totally agree. Yeah, had all the directions. Just repeating that, the frontside double 12 and frontside double 10 sort of thing is kind of a bit too close for comfort when we come down to that kind of variety side of things.
Totally. And into second place, we had Tsuchiro Sugeno from Japan, and this one had a bit of the IMU factor. It was absolutely massive. It was a really hard one to follow, just the amplitude and the anticipation of what to come, the way it built down the pipe. But it was one of those just when you're there watching it, it just made you feel something. I don't know what it was about it.
Yeah, it was like the amplitude top to bottom was pretty sick. It's really interesting when we look at kind of that Olympic team selection sort of thing. We kind of figured out the top 3 Japanese in their 4-person quota spot of Ayumu, Ruka, and Yuto. And it's looked like this kind of fight between Rusei and Shuchiro for that final spot. Before Christmas, you'd have been like, oh, easy, Rusei, because came out of copper on top form sort of thing. And it looked like Shuchiro was chasing fully. But then this time around, Shuchiro dropped one rider before Rusei, and it'd been like, oh, totally go for Shuchiro. So they're two very good riders that I would hate to have to pick between as an Olympic selection committee. Yes, Shuchiro put down really good run with that 14-14 combo, great amp, and had just the switchback alley-oop double rodeo 7 for that switch backside, but just a unique way to end the run. Does look super playful, has the technicality, had good amplitude as well. Maybe just a tiny bit short on the grab, kind of setting into it.
Yeah, the tail grab on the front 14. It was just huge. And like you say, there was that race between the two of them. I said before, you don't want to drop in after that run, and it was actually Rusei that dropped in after that run with quite a stock, smaller amplitude run. It wasn't the flair and the variety that we usually see from Rusei. So it was an interesting battle between them, which Shuchiro well and truly came out on top of. It was very close for first and second. I said before when I do grabs, I think you probably only grabbed the 360 of that 14 with the tail grab. Whilst he had the switch back alley-oop, he also lacked the true difficulty of switch backside. So it's probably the old 3.5 directions in our book. So
yeah, still
not all 4 primaries.
Still 4 toe side takeoffs on one heel side.
But yeah, split panel 4-2 for this one with first place, who was Yuto Totsuka from Japan.
Do you want to take us through the winning run?
Sure. Switchback 12 mute, cab double 14 drunk driver, front 12 tail, back 12 mute, finishing as he ran out of pipe with the front double 14 Indy. So
was very much using every inch of that pipe that he could as he came through. And amplitude, well, hence he used all the pipe. Amplitude was best amplitude of the day.
Yeah, difficulty was there. 3 12s and 2 14s.
Yeah, not bad.
Combo was there, progression. I guess I can give you my opinion on how the scores played out for the... I'm okay with the way the scores landed in the split panel, but when it's 4-2, I think it always could justify some explaining.
Yeah.
So I guess the 2 ways to do this one would first be trick for trick. So if you look at that, Yuto wins hit 1s with the switchback 12 versus the back double 12 style. Going to hit 2, they kind of cancel each out on paper, but for me it goes to Yuto just because with the cab double 14 drunk, they both had 14s, but Tsuchiro just had that sort of short tail on his 14. So you'd either cancel or you're going another one to Yuto. Hit 3 is Tsuchiro with the cab double 14 versus Yuto's front 12, so Tsuchiro got that one. Hit 4, Yuto had the back double 12 over Tsuchiro's front double 10, which was kind of the weak spot we spoke about in his run before, just lower trick difficulty. So at this point, Yuto pretty much has it locked away with 3-1.
Yeah.
I don't think we even need to go into the bottom hit. They both sort of, I think Shuchiro missed his grab on the...
Yeah, it was a very short, it gets it at the very initial part of the rotation, but then doesn't hold it all the way through the majority.
Yeah, and then Yuto under-rotates on his front 14 too, so it sort of cancels each other out with two ones you don't want to put against each other. So yeah, Yuto's got the tricks, 3-1. If we look at criteria, progression, they're pretty even. Both had good down the pipe combo and trick hit combinations. Yuto had 12-14, 12-12-14. Tsuchiro with 12-14-14, 10-7. So again, they're probably looking at Yuto with that just because Tsuchiro dropped away at the end. Amplitude well and truly goes to Tsuchiro on this one, so you give him that. Variety goes to Yuto with 4 primary directions versus 3.5 of Tsuchiro because of his switchback alley-oop. Difficulty maybe just to Yuto as he had nothing under a 12, whereas Tsuchiro had the 10 and the switchback 7 alley 7 at the bottom. Execution again kind of cancels each other out. We've got 2 short grabs and then Yuto had the under rotate, so both with some instabilities. And yeah, possibly just goes to Tsuchiro as his instabilities were maybe less with the 2 missed grabs as opposed to an under rotate, but you could argue that there was no pipe left and he still managed to get a 14 round and get his 5th hit. So it's very similar in those 2.
Yeah, it is very tight. And I think that shows in the 4 versus 2 sort of thing. I know one of the judges who was one of the ones that had cheer in the first place, and he said he's happy to be coached on this one, but his kind of sticking point with Yuto's run was the cab double 14 mute was a little bit over the boot.
Yeah, like a boot mute. So, yeah. So we could definitely see why the panel was split. You go to the criteria, like go to tricks, it's 3-1 to Yuto, criteria 3-2 to Yuto. So really, when you're talking how we judge, it's just giving the nod to Yuto, and even the panel reflects that 4-2. So like you say, there's good arguments for both, but I can see why they were split. And happy to back it.
And undeniably, the top 2 runs of the day, I think, was for sure.
Totally. And then I said it when we started on Tsuchiro's run. He had that run that was hard not to like as a snowboarder. It just made you feel something, the energy. It was a hard run to follow unless you went to the moon. I think I'm pretty happy with it.
Sweet. So there we go. That was the Aspen Grand Prix World Cup Halfpipe event.
Yeah, back to 4 Japanese on the podium, 2 in the women's, 2 in the men's. So
normal business has resumed.
Back to normal in that sense. It's a pretty amazing show.
Yeah, it was sick. It was, I think, especially after how the first day of training went, the difference between that and the actual finals was immense. They put on a show for sure. It was a great final, and I think it just builds nicely into Larks, where we have the best pipe on the World Cup tour.
Yeah.
And it's set to be a show which we're really excited about. We got some intense days of judging ahead of us, for sure. But yeah, Saturday night will be pipe finals in Larks.
Yeah, excited. Can't wait.
Very excited, very thrilled. Kind of good at I'm judging. It would be lovely just to watch from the sides and enjoy it for the whole spectacle, but it also would be great to be in the judges' stand calling the shots on it.
Yeah, pressure cooker.
Yeah, thank God. Can't wait. That's what I need after 8 weeks on the road. Sweet. So that is it for this episode. We're going to be back ever so shortly with our second episode from Aspen, looking at the whole slopestyle event. But in the meantime, we wanted to get this one out because we're pretty tight on time this week. So that's why it's just the Halfpipe. But yeah, I guess make sure you follow us wherever you listen to your podcasts, whether that's Amazon, Spotify, or on Apple or any other different podcast platform that you have. Follow us on Instagram at On The Knuckle. We're trying to put up some BTS behind the scenes and little snippets of inside information. Not inside information, just little insights into how the world works on the FIS Snowboard World Cup Tour. And of course, Beggs and I are getting tired at this point because we've been on the road for a while and we are desperately in need of caffeine. So if you want to buy us a coffee, head to buymeacoffee.com/On The Knuckle. And if you're interested in getting some merch, as certain people have requested, then head to onthenukle.com and you'll find a variety of t-shirts and hoodies there and snapbacks as well. So yeah, we're not wearing, Beggsy's wearing one today. I was going to say we're not wearing one today because someone made a comment that we were overbranded. But yeah, so feel free to, if you want to support the pod, we'd be ever so grateful. This is a wonderful passion project that we're very much enjoying.
Totally.
Yeah, that's it. That's all.
What you said?
Catch you on the next one.